And we're back. After a week's hiatus, when someone had no internet on the other end of the screen. It's high octane tonight. I couldn't do my hop because I was... You kind of look like the Six Flags old man bald dude dancing. And it's pretty similar music too. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 59 of the Gene Pool Variety Hour. I'm Sean.
I banged my friggin' headphones off.
I'm the old guy, I'm the dad of the group, I'm the old nerd. And the guy on the other screen that's got a head injury now is...
And apparently I'm the reincarnation of the old Six Flags guy.
Yeah, apparently.
Also known as Connor McKay, QuillMiester, aka his son, aka the comedy of this group.
Okay, gotcha.
The one that brings the funny.
The one that doesn't know when to stop. Let's put it that way.
Fun fact, Dad.
Okay, fun fact. We're starting early. Getting them chickens.
Whenever Nikki listens to our podcast,
she actually listens to our podcast.
You put her to sleep.
Okay, whatever, dude. That's fine.
You're that boring. Come on.
Thank you.
What? That's your dad boring. Just like every dad is boring.
That's I'm feeling the love in here tonight, people. Feeling the love.
What?
In here.
What? So. Dad. Eventually, I'm gonna be your level of boring. And when I have 3 kids,
and at that point, I'll have dementia, and I'll be the crazy one, and you get to deal with it. And we'll probably be on episode 1332 of this thing.
Sounds accurate, and I will accept that. I will accept that responsibility. Good sir.
And you know how it always goes full circle, right? Your life starts with me wiping your butt, and my life's gonna end with you wiping my butt.
Yeah, I'm never gonna touch your wrinkly old ass. I'm never gonna touch it.
Then you better start making.
That's gonna be your nurse's job.
You and Luke, y'all better start making some money so y'all can pay for the nursing home for me. Then
I'm gonna be a writer by then. And Luke's gonna be an officer in the military.
Well, we'll see. So anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna jump in and kind of give a whole rundown of what we do. People who've been here know what's that
kind of. Luke is either going to be an officer in the military or some kind of survivalist sponsor social media person.
He's going to be the new Bear Grylls.
Exactly. Luke has that energy, doesn't he?
Anyway, yeah, he does, and he's outgoing enough he could do something like
that.
So,
and have you seen his beard lately?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is magnificent.
Okay, for those that don't know,
barely recognize him.
For those that don't know, we're talking about Luke, my one of my other sons, the one that's the second oldest, the middle brother of the 3, who is currently through hiking the Appalachian Trail. He started in March in Georgia. He is now in Massachusetts, going into Vermont.
How many more miles does he have? It's gotta be under 1,000.
Oh no, it's around 500. He's about 500 left, I think.
Oh, dang!
And I thought
he finishes up by the end of July. Do you think?
Oh no, goodness no, dude! The end of July is like a week away. He would have to do like 80 miles a day.
What about by the end of August?
He better have it done by the end of August. He's got some other stuff he's got to do by the end of August. So yeah, let's hope so. So anyway. Okay. So he's doing that. I just sent him a new box, and he's doing his thing, man. So anyway, it's cool.
Out of curiosity, what's in the boxes that you send him?
Food, just food. Just we make up food things for him.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, nothing. No, kind of like toiletries or anything.
Nope. I mean, I sent him some toothpaste, but usually it's just food. snacks, but then things to sustain him like protein bars and beef jerky, and then Mom has made up these meals, these little where he can cook his own meals. So he's quickly gotten the reputation, and Mom has gotten the reputation of being the bomb diggity resupply boxer, because she does them really well. And then she gave me instructions, so I've done a couple this summer. So anyway, so they're good, and
I can never do what he's doing. I do not have the fortitude.
Just to give you an idea of how many resupply boxes we've sent him on the trail during this time. The UPS man recognized both your mom and I as soon as we walk in, and he asked for an update on where he is on the trail. He didn't even ask our name. He knows exactly who we are and what we're there for. And he's like, "Where is he now?"
God dang.
So anyway. So that's that. So look, we like to hang out and just talk a bunch of nerdy stuff. We usually do like a weird geek question, because that's something Connor's done his whole life, is ask us weird geek questions his entire life. And
weird questions in general. Not always geek question in origin, just random questions.
Yes, true. But we try to keep them nerdy here. And we talk about a random movie that we rolled for last time. And then just chase chickens and all that kind of stuff. So
chase chickens, talk, reminisce, bond over the internet webs.
Anyway, so any fun stuff to talk about? Any fun stuff's been going on with you?
Me and Nikki have been thinking about getting another rabbit, but there are some serious financial stuff we need to get done first before we even consider getting another rabbit.
Oh, I'm just thinking, if you're going to get a rabbit, you guys better be doggone sure you get 2 females or 2 males, or you go get them fixed and pay to get them fixed, because otherwise you'll have 20 bunnies real quick.
That we're gonna get them fixed, yeah.
So anyway, cool. Why decide to get another bunny?
Nikki has been noticing Tifa has been acting kind of bored and bratty lately.
Mm-hmm.
She got her some new toys which really helped. But I mean, rabbits are social creatures. They need interaction and they need companionship.
Right, and so they get that from you guys. What will help is getting Tifa fixed, because getting Tifa fixed, I know she's not a male, but especially the males, it calms them down. It chills them out. They get more docile. Now,
I know it does.
So anyway, so that's something.
That's the first thing on our list of possible second bunny ownership.
Yeah. Okay. So anything else? Any other kind of weird stuff? Because I got tons of stories tonight. I got lots of stories.
I was almost crushed at work a couple days ago.
Oh wow. Okay, what happened?
So I was moving one of these tops.
Mm-hmm.
The tops are something we assemble and manually put on these rolling carriers to send them onto the assembly line to get fitted with bumpers and get them painted and everything.
Right.
So I had one freshly assembled, and I was using one of those manual crank lifts, to get it off the assembly cart.
Uh-huh.
And when I moved, one of the wheels went over a deep crack in the concrete, just because it's going to have a couple of cracks,
Sure.
And then as it did that, I guess the platform where that was holding the actual top was a little bit slippery because when they moved it hit that crack and kind of stopped for a second.
Yeah,
the momentum kept moving the top, and it was literally tipped over her 75% of the way. I was basically holding it on with one hand on one corner of it, to just barely keeping it up.
Wow.
And literally, if I let it fall, it would have landed right on my foot.
Well, that wouldn't have been good.
Would not have been good. Especially with a steel-toed boot, it would have cut off my toes.
Yeah. So you almost recreated the crucial scene in my short story for the Legion of Dorks anthology.
Yes, my guys. I know.
Okay. See,
except for that guy, it was a full-on car.
Right, but I mean, here I am. I actually wrote something, and that's a cool thing. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Thank you.
You wrote a short story. I wrote a 400+ page manuscript.
Which one's getting published?
Shut up.
Anyway, so I think it would be great for you to start with short stories to get some feedback and get some publishing and stuff. I think that would be great for you to do.
I know. It's just I can't write short stories. Every short story I start ends up being something I want to keep on going, and I can't get it to a point where I can stop it to make a satisfying ending. I want to keep it going.
Right.
I can't do that.
So maybe you get an idea for a big novel, but make a short story that you know that you're going to expand into a bigger thing, and they just do just an idea. So
I don't understand.
We'll talk later. We'll talk offline about that. That's not podcast stuff. So,
it's nerdy.
Now you just okay. I'm just saying that maybe if you got one of your big ideas, like, ooh, I'd like to flesh this out into a huge novel. But how could I almost do it almost like a trailer, almost summary, to make it into a short story, knowing, okay, like you said, I want to continue the story out and everything. And it's like, okay, well, maybe if you know you're going to make it into a big story, it gives you the freedom to make a short story out of it first and then build on it to make it a novel.
But if I do that, and it's published, it'll be known as only a short story, and I don't think anything published of it getting expanded would be accepted because then at that point when it would be the intellectual property of whatever published it, whatever anthology magazine, whatever that published it, it would become their property, wouldn't it?
But what if you wrote the short story as a prologue to the novel?
But that's the thing. Again, if I send that to the anthology or some kind of magazine, whatever, to publish it in their article or whatever, that prologue would then become their property, and then I need their permission to then use that idea to continue writing it, wouldn't I?
Maybe. How about you talk to Kelly in the Discord over at Legion of Dorks? She's both an author and a publisher and an editor. She might be a good person to talk to about that question.
Okay, I'll do that.
There you go. So, so you've been doing any kind of fun? I said you were playing a new game, the Monster Hunters.
Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin.
Yeah. Okay.
I first tried the Monster Hunter games, and actually, Monster Hunter Stories is what got me into Monster Hunter in general.
Right.
Monster Hunter Stories 1, the first one was for the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
I played that, and I'm like, okay, this is combining essentially Pokemon and Skyrim with a Japanese twist. Hey, Mitch, what's up?
Yeah, he had said on the Discord earlier today he was looking into playing that one too. So he wants to hear about it.
Monster Hunter Stories 2: Wings of Ruin.
Yeah,
it is awesome, Mitch. I mean, if you played the first one, and it references all of the classic characters, of Vina, Debly, even the main characters from. Oh, didn't play the first one, but okay. Essentially, this game has you playing as a special type of person a special type of person called a rider. And riders find monster eggs and through something called kinship, and a kinship stone that they have on their hand, they bond with the egg and they hatch into essentially a miniature version of the monster they took the egg from, and they become a monstee. And then these monsties, you can train them, get them new abilities, attacks. Actually, you can ride them and make these kind of super uber attacks. And there are literally almost 100 different types of eggs and monsties you can get. It's really awesome.
So go ahead.
What?
No, I was going to say, it kind of sounds like if Pokemon Go and Monster Hunter World had a baby. Kinda.
Essentially, that's what it is. It literally combines Pokemon with Monster Hunter.
And I haven't played either game. Well, I played Pokemon Go a little bit, but I mean,
Pokemon Go does not count. Shut up. It does not.
Did I not just say it sounds like a cross between Pokemon Go and Monster Hunter, and you said yes?
It's a cross. It's a cross between Pokemon in general, and Monster Hunter.
Okay.
I do not count Pokemon Go as actual Pokemon because in no other Pokemon game do you need candy to level up a Pokemon.
Okay.
It's blasphemy.
Okay.
I still play it though.
Hypocrite! You hypocrite! Nothing but a hypocrite.
At least I acknowledge I'm a hypocrite. At least I acknowledge it.
So, well, then does that really make you a hypocrite? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
Mitch, Mitch, just the only Pokemon aspect of it is the collecting and training of the Monsties to make them more powerful. Everything else is completely Monster Hunter. You go out and fight the regular sized monsters in a turn-based RPG style combat. You can still harvest their resources and make weapons, armor, all kinds of stuff. It is just essentially the style of Monster Hunter, in the resource exploration and everything, but you can use monsters to fight other monsters essentially.
There you go. That's cool.
There you go. See, exactly. That sounds better.
So cool. So
it's just a game I really enjoy.
Well, I mean, you like those kind of games anyway, and you love Monster Hunter, just like Mitch and Brandon love Monster Hunter. They played it for like nonstop for like a year or so. So yeah, so that's cool. Any other? Have you been playing any other stuff lately? Or seen any good movies or any of that kind of stuff?
Not really seen any good movies. Me and Nikki recently binge watched a show on Disney Plus called Owl House.
Okay. All right.
Owl House it's a cartoon. It's a Disney cartoon, but at the same time, it's oddly addicting,
okay.
Especially for people of our minds.
TV tends to be, especially for people like us.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's really wholesome and comedic and juvenile show that we just enjoy.
Yeah. So, on my end, man, I don't know where to start. I've got so many little weird stories. So, do you want me to start with the nerdy stuff?
Start with Mass Effect.
Really? You want me to start with Mass Effect? Okay. All right. So. All right, so
go all the way.
We're going to talk about some space love, guys. So on the next episode of As the Normandy Turns, we've got the continuing saga.
The title.
The continuing saga of Shepard's love life aboard the Normandy. So, I'm already. I got the Legendary Edition. I started playing through it. I've already played Mass Effect 1, played Mass Effect 2. I'm into Mass Effect 3. So. In Mass Effect 1, Liara was my love interest, right? So she's the one that I romanced in Mass Effect 1. And I wanted, you get an achievement for the romance storyline, and you get a big achievement if you romance someone in all 3 games. It would have been cool if they had one if you were able to be monogamous and be in a relationship with the same person throughout the whole thing, but it's impossible to do. Because in Mass Effect 2, in Mass Effect 2, they jack it all up, and no pun intended, they mess it all up.
They basically overhaul everyone from Mass Effect 1 except for Tali and Garrus.
Right.
That's what I love about those 2 characters. They are with Shepard through every single game.
Right. So
pure loyalty. I love it.
The first time I played through it years ago, Liara was my love interest in the first one, and then in the second one, I went with Miranda because I didn't even know Jack was an option then, and then I think I went back to Liara in Mass Effect 3. And so this time,
Miranda is so boring.
Yeah. So this time, I was continuing with Liara. I was okay. At least I can be in a relationship with Liara in 1 and 3 and try to be as close to a monogamous relationship as possible. But then when I realized I couldn't do that in 2, I said, okay, well, Miranda's kind of boring, and I don't like her attitude. So I said, okay, we're going to slum around with Jack in Mass Effect 2.
With the exact opposite direction of Miranda.
So we decided to
exact opposite.
We decided to slum around with Jack in Mass Effect 2, and so Jack became the romance interest in Mass Effect 2. Now, because Liara went off all Shadow Broker and stuff, so she's like not even an option, right? And so I'm kind of talking to both Miranda and Jack. I'm just kind of leaving those options open, knowing I'm headed towards the Jack storyline. And then all of a sudden, I get back on the ship after some mission, and whoever my little person, you have new messages, says, you better get, there's something going on between Jack and Miranda. No, I think it was Joker says, Jack and Miranda about to kill each other. You might want to go see what's going on. And I go in there, and Jack and Miranda are in the middle of a cat fight because of me. And so you have to choose between the two of them, right? And so I sided with Jack, right? And so that pissed Miranda off. I lost her loyalty, even though I'd done her loyalty mission, because that made her angry. Well, I sweet-talked her and used the Paragon options and everything and got the loyalty back. So I sweet-talked her back into, hanging out with me and being friends with me. But I continued to the Jack storyline. And it was interesting as I was doing the Jack storyline, it started to get very touching because she'd been tortured since she was a child. She'd had abandonment, all this kind of stuff happening. And so I worked to soften her up and let her guard down, and that's what developed that relationship. So I developed a relationship with Jack, right? But you remember, this is the Legendary Edition, which includes all the DLC.
Yeah.
So now you have the Shadow Broker DLC that's built into it, right?
Yeah.
Which hooks you back up with Liara. So I've got Liara and Jack on my fire team. And during all that, Liara, I got my notes. Liara is getting all jealous and yelling at me, and actually says, and you got with that tattooed girl with anger issues. She literally said that in the game. I
can't wait to see what she'll say about Tali.
So she got so angry with me and was all jealous, and I'm like, no, that's cool. I'm with Jack. That's the way it is. We continue the Shadow Broker storyline, and at the end, when we beat it all, I'm flirting with Liara again, and she's gave her a kiss goodbye or whatever, and we're kind of sitting there flirting, and Shep asked her, well, are you involved with that guy, whoever the guy was in that DLC with her assistant? Yeah. And she said, well, you made it clear that I was already taken. Jack's standing there watching this whole thing. I invite Liara back to the ship to have a drink in my room back on the ship. Meanwhile, my love interest is watching the whole thing. And I get Liara back to the room, and we're having a drink of wine, and she starts flirting with me, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no, dog, I'm good. I'm with Jack, so see ya. And I walked her out the door and went down to engineering to hang out with Jack. So all that happened in Mass Effect 2. I was just kind of playing it around, and it was just super weird. And that's the weird.
You hound.
That's the weird. Well, that's the weirdness of having that DLC built in, because when you played the main game, that wasn't there to begin with, right? So that's what made it kind of weird. Then I get into Mass Effect 3. Liara is now an option again. She's back on the ship with me. And Jack is not part of your ship. She's not on your team and that kind of stuff. But you do a mission, and she's working at the Grissom Academy again, and she sees you, and first she punches you, and then she just jumps up on you, wraps her legs around you, and starts making out with you because you had that relationship with her in Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
So at some point, I've got to make this decision between Liara and Jack. Now, they're very different. I mean, it's like Jack is the hot, heavy, passionate girl. Liara is...
Here's Can
I finish my story? Okay. And then you can chime in. So, and then Liara is like, there's an intimacy and an emotional intimacy and tenderness between Shep and Liara. So there's something special about that relationship. But at the same time, me being who I am, I'm like, Jack has gone through abandonment her whole life. And I know that I'm about to sit at the purgatory bar and abandon her again at some point in this game. And I'm feeling bad. So BioWare did a fantastic job pulling on your heartstrings with these different kinds of relationships, especially when they're so different. So it's just been, I've been having more fun exploring this whole soap opera thing with these folks than anything else. So that's been the Space Love storyline. I don't know where it's going to go yet because I think I'm kind of getting to a decision point here soon. Yeah, so there's that. So because I've already had Jack jumping on me and kissing me in Mass Effect 3. I've had Liara sitting in my lap and giving me a kiss. So I'm like, I don't know what to do, people. I'm just a man.
You're being a horn dog.
I'm just a man. I'm just trying to save the galaxy. That's all I'm trying to do. Anyway, so I just thought it was kind of funny. So there's that. There's that story. What are some of my other stories? There was the disappearing fish. Did I tell you about the disappearing fish?
What?
So, Mom's got that goldfish in that little tank in the bathroom, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That thing is still alive?
Not now. No.
Oh.
It's been around for years, just like a little 25-cent goldfish. It's been around for years. And I've been feeding it about every 2 or 3 days. And I go in there to feed it one day, and it's gone. It's not there. I look in the tank. I lift up the tank. I look around. I look down in the bottom. It's not anywhere to be found. It's like it disappeared. It's like the fish rapture happened, and it's gone. It's when to be. It's gone. And I'm freaking out. I mean,
Dad. The
What?
great railing in.
Very good. You're so on the ball. And so I got no clue what's going on. I'm telling your mom about it. I'm freaking out. And she's like, well, maybe it jumped out and Coco ate it. Well, I'm like, it's in the bathroom in our bedroom and the door's closed during the day. Coco's never in that room. And
Did Bill eat it?
Well, Bill's in Oklahoma with your mom.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, turns out it was in the tank, but it was dead and it was under a layer of rocks. So much so that it must have swam its way down in there to die because there was no way for it to just kind of like die and float to the bottom and be where it was. It's like it had to swim around and go underneath to get underneath where it was. So, but for like 3 days or 2 days before I finally cleaned out the tank, I'm slap freaking out. I mean, there's like Houdini fish going on stuff in my house. I didn't know what was going on. So, and then
Dad.
Yes.
Floundini. Floundini.
So now the other thing is I got new glasses this week.
Oh, nice.
And so
I
got them Tuesday, and I've had bifocals for the last 2 years. And Mitch and Hook know about this because we were talking about it in the Discord. But I really needed trifocals because I need it for the close-up for the reading. I need the distance. But then sitting there looking at a computer all day, I need that kind of mid-range.
Well, that's a thing?
Yeah. So I didn't want to have 3 separate little lenses on my glasses. And so you can get these things called progressive lenses, which, they start right here and they have your close-up reading, but then the thickness kind of changes on the glasses. So that it's like it starts with your close-up reading here, and then the prescription slowly changes up to where it gets to your distance vision. My distance vision looks great in these glasses, but the problem is with the lined bifocals and trifocals, you pretty much have that lens all the way across your glasses. Well, this one, it kind of starts in like a circle and works its way out. So when I'm reading up close, I've got to buy some reading glasses. When I'm reading up close, it's literally like I'm kind of looking through a tunnel to get the right prescription, right? And, usually when you're reading, you can kind of just move your eyes and scan. Well, if I do that, I move out of my sweet spot for my prescription. So I'm literally having to relearn how to read and do this constantly to stay inside the tunnel.
That's gotta hurt.
And wait, there's more. So I'm going to move Chase out of the way. So because you're kind of looking through this tunnel, and when you look sideways through your eyes, you're looking through different prescriptions at the same time. And so if you're looking to say this is like looking at my phone straight on, right? This happens when I'm looking. Okay, if I move my eyes, it does this.
Okay then.
So literally, it looks like my phone is doing some kind of LSD warp trip constantly, or whatever I'm reading. The computer screen right now that I'm looking at, when I turn my head, it turns into a parallelogram, and it's freaking me out, man. So I'm going to give it a week, and if I don't get used to it, I'm going back. I'm like, give me the old man line stuff. I can't take this tunnel vision thing. It's freaking me out. So anyway, so that's what's been going on with me lately. So that's all I got.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got for updates.
So a quick comment on Jack and Liara conundrum.
Okay.
Essentially, you need to ask yourself. So, do you want a loyal, powerful, and spontaneous biker chick, or do you want a boring, smart, skilled librarian?
There's something to be said about a hot librarian. Anyway, we talked about that earlier. But you also have to understand that because of the extent of baggage that Jack has, the odds that relationship's going to last are pretty slim, right? She's going to go off the deep end at some point, right? She's going to go crazy chick at some point on you because she is a crazy chick.
People have come back from worse.
So anyway, I'm going to just I'll figure it out when I get to it.
And this is the future with Uber drugs to control all that.
Whatever. Anyway, so that's enough of space love, okay? We'll talk more. If there's more to the space love story next week, we'll continue the space love saga next week as the Normandy Turns. So anyway.
That's what you're calling it?
Why not? So anyway.
As the Normandy Turns.
Okay, as the Citadel turns, I like as the Normandy Turns better. Anyway, so how about we do our geek question? Let's jump in our geek question. I'm getting hot in this garage, man.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want them answered immediately. Dad, I will never just leave Arnold alone. You know that. Just stop expecting me to stop.
So what's the geek question? Let's go. What's the geek question?
When in your D&D career did you feel you were at your most powerful?
Okay, go. I mean, I've got mine. It's been a story since, was it high school or early college? Something like that. Anyway, go.
For me, it was a couple years ago when I was playing in 5th edition campaign Storm King's Thunder. It's
right.
Essentially you fight a bunch of giants.
We're gonna lose Mitch at this point. He's not a big D&D guy. If he's still here.
So I was playing a simple dwarf fighter, Vondel Iron Fist.
Okay.
And by just 5th level, I had convinced an innkeeper to give me, not sell, give me his prized bear pelt from his wall, and I took that to a magic tailor to turn it into a cloak, in which then that cloak gave me +3 to all intimidation, persuasion, deception rolls, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also I had paid a storm giant to turn my great axe into a thunder axe. I could literally take my axe and crack it over a goblin skull, and then from that crack, a thunderclap would basically rip apart his body.
Wow.
I basically one shot a dragon hatchling.
Angela, we need to get Mitch to play, and we'll put together a campaign and we'll play. That should be interesting. So, okay, that's your story?
Vondel Iron Fist. I mean, I also rolled amazingly with his stats. By level 5, he had freaking +5. He had +5 in strength, +5 in constitution, and then a +3 in charisma.
Yeah.
And with all that combined, and with fighter or stuff, and with like extra attack, action surge, and I'd also gotten the lucky he feat. So I was also able to re-roll any roll I wanted, and somehow I got lucky and was getting net 20s constantly.
Right.
Oh, and then I also got something from the campaign called a Power Stone, which gave me a +3 to all damage.
Okay, cool.
And, in one turn, at the height of my character, I did 122 points of damage in one turn.
I could say that
at level 5.
Well, at level 5, that's kind of unusual. Yeah, right. So it
was freaking ridiculous.
So my story goes.
Iron Fist will always live on in my.
My story goes way back. We started playing in high school, and we're playing with the AD&D rules. So it's like kind of like D&D 2.0, right? There was no such thing as feats. There weren't even multi-class characters yet at that point, right? So I was just playing a straight cleric. I was the healer. Everybody hates the cleric until body parts start falling off, and then they love you, right? So I was the cleric, and we had been playing almost every Saturday, every weekend for a few years, probably 2 or 3 years, and
dang,
not every Saturday, but pretty close. And we had leveled up so far, and we had played through all the modules that we could find to play within our level ranks, right? So we kind of started running out of things to do and play. So Kenny, our DM, wrote a homebrew. He built a homebrew campaign, right?
Nice.
And it was it's the first time I'd ever seen a homebrew campaign. It was, good grief, this is back in the 80s, right? And so the campaign was, we got invited because we were all level 30 something at this point, right? There was nothing else to do. And so we got invited by this king of some kingdom to come and participate in this tournament games of adventurers, right? And if you won in the tournament, he would give you a parcel of land to be your own little fiefdom, like your own little village, town, country, whatever kind of thing, right? And so we went, and of course we won because we were so high level. So we each got, he had done a world map, like a continent map on like an octagon graph paper, right? So you had so he had done all that, and we got to pick what section we wanted, and we got like 3 or 4 of the octagons on the map to be ours, and it was given to us, and then we got to manage it. So I picked mine close to the coast, so I had coastal economy, and so then you started dealing with economy and security and your military, and you had to start. Then it started to become like a world resource management kind of thing, right?
Huh.
And I was watching all my buddies spending all this money that they had made on hiring mercenaries to be their army and their security forces and all this. I'm like, okay, I'm a cheap bastard. Let me try something different. Kenny.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I've got this spell called, was it called Animate Dead or Create Dead? I think it's or Raise Dead. It's changed a lot. Yeah. So it was a spell. It would raise the dead, and I could do just the base spell. You could raise skeletons or zombies, right?
Uh-huh.
Those are like the lowest level of undead in D&D, right? So what levels are you got? Skeletons. You got what all you got, Connor? You got skeletons. You got zombies. You got ghouls. You got vampires. You got liches. What else you got? What other ones have you got? I mean, there's some there's some in the middle. So I'm like, okay, so an army full of skeletons and zombies is pretty boring, and they won't last very long. They're pretty easy to kill. So I said, hey, Kenny, yep. Is there an option for me to go into magic research? Because there was a mechanic where you could go into magic research and like create a spell. Can I go into magic research and create like a Animate Dead 6.0 that will raise people into vampires and liches? Well, yeah, you can. Okay, how much is that going to cost me? And how long is that going to take? And so he sat there and he thought, and he figured for me, he says, it's going to cost you 1 million gold, which I had plenty of. I'm like, cool. There you go. 1 million gold. Cut you a check. And it's going to cost you 6 months of game time. I'm like, okay. So my guy, Elrond, went into magic research. So he disappeared for 6 months of game time. So in the meantime, I played, Charles, one of my best friends growing up. He was playing 2 characters at the time. Because he had a character. This is another story altogether where we invaded we invaded the level, because the different planes of hell and everything. We invaded one of them and crossed the river Leth, and he found a succubus.
Leafy.
Yeah, and he found a succubus and convinced her to have sex with him, and they had a child. So he had a half human, half succubus, half human, half demon character, daughter. So I played her during those 6 months. And so Kenny says it's going to cost you it's going to cost you 1 million gold, 6 months of game time, and you have a 5% chance of success. Which means I have to roll a 20, right? 19 was it 19? I have to roll 19 or 20 on the 20-sided die, right? I rolled a nat 20. Bam. And so I just went out to the local cemeteries on the land that I now own and just started raising everybody in the cemetery and created my own private army of vampires and liches that would do my bidding at any time. I had a vampire. I forgot what I named it, but I had a vampire that was my sheriff. And they were and so it cost me nothing. My guys were spending like 10,000 gold per month to pay their army, and I was making money hand over fist. So that was when I felt the strongest, when I had an army of vampires and liches at my bidding. I kind of felt like the Nazgul, or I felt like Aragorn in Return of the King when he brings all the dead back to fight the bad guys.
Aragorn or Aragorn?
Aragorn is what I meant. Aragorn. So
Aragorn is my thing.
Yes, I know. I know when I said it, I knew it didn't sound right. Anyway, so when he comes and they all those ghosts and stuff come rushing through, that's what it felt like. So that's when I felt the strongest, when I had my own personal army of vampires and liches to do my bidding. I still got the character. Dad. I still got the character in a folder in the attic. So with all of his stuff. Yeah.
Did you ever contemplate invading your friends' lands and taking them over?
No, because I wasn't that kind of a guy. That wasn't. Now, Charles, he'd have done it in a heartbeat. He'd have come through and taken everybody's stuff because he didn't care. He's like, I want it. It's mine. No, I wasn't like that. Charles would have done that. Yes, absolutely. Of course, Charles is the one that, with the whole story of the psionic enlarged power. Yeah, we won't get into that story.
That's not a family-friendly
That's
story.
not a family-friendly story. We won't get into that one. So, yeah,
let's just say something gets big.
Something gets big and somebody gets hurt because of it. Yes, let's leave it at that. So, we'll move on from that. So that's my answer to the geek question, is that. Yeah, that was pretty cool to have.
When you were literally the king of the Nazgul.
Pretty much. Yep, that was pretty much me.
I mean, that's a sense. Yeah, you were that.
Yep. So I had Dracula for my sidekick, and yeah, that was kind of cool. And the Lich King, So anyway, yeah, that was pretty cool. So that's my answer to that question.
If a woman had fought you, you would have been in trouble.
Why?
The thing in Lord of the Rings. The literal witch
was
killed
by
a woman.
Right.
Yeah, because of all that. So
okay. I didn't know where you were going.
Amazon had invaded your country, you would have been toast.
Yeah. I didn't know where you were going with that. So okay. Anyway, yeah.
Perfectly good joke.
All right. I missed. Sorry. You're in a nice air-conditioned apartment. I'm sitting in my garage right now. It's in Georgia in
turn
July.
Turn the air conditioner in the garage.
Then you can't hear me talk. It is what it is.
Then get a bowl of ice.
What I won't do for digital media. What I won't do for digital media. Okay. So how about we do our movie? You want to do our movie? I kind of like this movie.
Let's do our movie.
All right. So now stay tuned for the next installment of
Roll for credits.
Please play. Thank you. All right, I got to pull up my notes. Okay, so for this movie, as you guys can see on the screen, we watched, and we actually watched it last week, but of course with Connor's internet being out, we didn't get to have an episode last week. So it's the 2020 movie Alone. It's a zombie flick starring Tyler Posey and Summer Spiro and Donald Sutherland. It's written by a guy named Matt Naylor. And Mitch, you're absolutely right. When we were talking about this the other day, Matt Naylor wrote this movie. He also wrote #Alive, the exact same Korean movie you guys were talking about. So he wrote them both. So he pretty much kind of, I guess, wrote it in Korean and then wrote it in American and called it something different. I don't know. So anyway, so he wrote that.
Was it the same movie?
Pretty much. I haven't seen #Alive. I haven't seen that one, but I know that Mitch and Brandon have, and because when I was talking about the movie, they said that sounds awfully familiar. So they've seen the Korean one version. They haven't seen this one, I don't think. It's directed by some guy named Johnny Martin, who was a producer on some movie with Al Pacino called Hangman. He's a producer on Vengeance, a Love Story with Nick Cage, and he was a stunt. Al Pacino. Look him up. I'm not going to go there. If you don't know Al Pacino,
that's half the reason why I do this is to see your reaction.
But here's the funny. So the guy that was the director was a producer on these other movies with bigger names. He was a stuntman on Titanic. And I'm sitting there going, "What? You just float in the water for what? What did you do as a stuntman in Titanic?" Anyway, so this I got to pull
Swan dives.
Yeah, right. So it's a zombie flick, but it's kind of a different kind of zombie flick. And it says, okay, when an outbreak hits, Aiden, who's Tyler Posey, barricades himself in his apartment and starts rationing food. His complex is overrun by what they called infected screamers, which are kind of like their zombies. And with the world falling apart in the chaos, he's left completely alone and fighting for his life. However,
he was the iceberg. That's a good one. That's a good one.
So, see, I could make a joke about Peter Berg, but you wouldn't know who Peter Berg is. Anyway, so Mitch would get it.
Well,
anyway,
then tell me.
He's a director. He's an actor. He's a director. I think he directed Battleship. I think it was one of the movies he directed. He's done some other movies, but that's the one I can think off the top of my head.
Oh, wait. Is Battleship based off the game Battleship?
Yeah. Kind of.
Okay. Why would anybody make a game based on... a movie based on a game?
People hated it, but I didn't mind it. It was just a typical action. I didn't mind it too bad. And I think Mitch and we were talking about that the other day. I think Mitch kind of liked it too. I can't remember. But anyway, so in this movie, this guy, the movie starts with this guy wakes up in bed with some woman. She's embarrassed. And when she wakes up,
some kind of one night stand.
So it's a one night stand, and he goes to the bathroom, and she's already left, and and then all of a sudden he hears all this chaos happening. He hears crashes. He goes out on his balcony, and he sees a helicopter crashing, and jets flying overhead, and people running in the streets, crazy, and this little girl down there kind of crying or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, it'll be okay, it'll be okay." And then all of a sudden she zombies out and starts attacking somebody. So he's freaking out, and barricades his apartment, and he realizes there's this zombie apocalypse thing happening.
Essentially, yeah.
And he can't get through to his sister's somewhere. He's an adult, he lives on his own, but his sister's somewhere, his parents are somewhere. He has trouble, and so the first part of the movie is him trying to get in touch with them. He ends up having to listen to his mom and dad get killed on the phone, which was really horrible.
So some kind of like overfill of voicemails just suddenly got to his phone, and he was just listening to them one after another, right. And they got worse and worse progressively.
So
it was heart-wrenching.
The beginning of the movie starts with him just kind of living isolated in his apartment, running out of water and food. But
and he's doing these video logs constantly.
Right, but you can tell it's not so much the food and water that's getting to him. It's the isolation. It's the isolation, and so he's marking the days. He gets to day 42, and he's like, "Here's my last video log. I'm out of here." And strings himself up and he's about to hang himself. And as he's about to hang himself, he looks out his window across his balcony to the apartment complex right across the little breezeway, and there's a woman on her balcony. And he freaks out and he pulls out. So they make connection.
A normal woman.
Yeah, he makes connection. He makes connection with her. They're kind of talking via signs through the window, and they start to establish this relationship because, as far as they know, they're the only two left, right?
In that complex, anyway.
Right, and then it goes from there about survival, and she's got zombies banging on her door all the time, and he's got zombies banging on his door all the time. And then they start trying to find food and water and communicate with each other and share things with each other, even though it's across this space between the apartment complexes. And it kind of goes from there.
He finds walkie-talkies.
He finds walkie-talkies, and he gets one up on her balcony so they can actually talk to each other, and they start to establish this relationship, and they get really close. He, starts going through his apartment complex by climbing through the air ducts to other apartments to find food. And, his neighbor that had gotten infected right at the beginning, and he kicked him out of his place because he heard him screaming and saw his blood in his eyes and everything, was a hiker and a climber. So he got into his apartment and got all of his climbing stuff and his ropes and stuff. So that was cool. But
he was going full Lara Croft with that climbing axe.
So I mean, it wasn't your typical.
What's that called? Climbing axe? That's what it's called. What do you think?
Pickaxe? I don't know, something like that. I don't know what the typical mountain climbing term is for that thing, but anyway,
Luke may know.
So it wasn't your typical zombie flick in that it was constant zombies running. It was mostly, you had those when he would go out into his hallway and have to surf around them.
It was mostly just random banging on the door and people repeating the same phrase again and again and again. Come here.
But did you realize? Did you notice what everybody's phrases were? They were probably the last thing that they said before they finally clicked over.
Yeah,
because they're saying it's like kill me or stop me or help me or whatever. And it's like once they flipped over into that zombie mode, then that was the last.
That was the only thing they could say.
But
it kind of reminds me of a Doctor Who thing. Let's see. I think it was with the 11th Doctor, and
like
Vasha Neruda. The Vasha Neruda, this almost invisible parasites that lives in shadows and basically takes over a body once it eats it, and they just repeat the same phrase again and again and again as they go around.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
I know you wouldn't know.
So they're trying to learn how to connect with each other, communicate with each other, find resources. And then so where do you want to go with this? Do you want to talk about the storyline, or are you just going to talk about the movie? Because I really want to just talk about the movie. I mean, there's the storyline with Donald Sutherland's character, which I thought was fantastic. I love that storyline.
It really was cool. It's just, I don't know. It made me feel uncomfortable.
Well, I'll just leave it at this because I'm not going to, because there's a twist in there at one point. But so at one point, he crawls through the vents to go to another apartment to start because he's looking for food, and he gets in this apartment and it's clean and it's quiet.
Full of food.
It's clean and it's quiet and it's chock full of food. And he's talking to Eva. It's Eva, right?
Yeah, Eva.
He's talking to Eva on the walkie-talkie, and finds out that she's like, "What's going on? Where were you? I couldn't get in touch with you. I was scared." Yada yada yada. And he says, "No, it's fine. It's safe. Everything." He says, "The fridge is up against the door." Yada. And she says, "Wait, the fridge is up against the door?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "Did you put it up against the door?" "No." "Well, how could the fridge be put up against the door unless there's somebody inside with you?" And then he starts freaking out. And he closes himself in a room to talk to her. And he says, "I'm turning the walkie-talkie off." And he sneaks out of the room. And there's Donald Sutherland standing there. Okay. And everybody.
Spear or something.
And he's got a homemade spear thing that he made. And of course, Donald Sutherland is old at this point in our lives. And so he plays like an old grandpa looking guy. And he's wary of Aiden because he thinks Aiden may be a zombie, and Aiden's wary of him, and they realize that they're not zombies, so they start talking. And he's super friendly. He's super helpful. He's offering him all kinds of food, but he's asking lots of questions about, are you alone? Are you by yourself? And so something about that, he's like super nice and super sweet, but there's something super off about the conversation he's having with Aiden, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you want to talk about the twist, I guess? I mean, I guess you kind of have to, because there's...
No. Let's leave the twist for them to find out. Let's leave the twist for them to find out.
Well, because there's a great... So, I'll just leave it to you at this. There's something in there, and if you've seen Alive, they may have had the exact same storyline in Alive, so anyway. But Donald Sutherland is not as nice of a guy as he portrays himself to be. I'll just leave it at that. But even though bad stuff happens with Donald Sutherland's character, there's a love and a yearning in his storyline that is touching. Even though it's nasty and it's dark, it's touching. I mean, I kind of have to talk about it.
No, Dad, no.
So anyway, so
you probably already said too much.
It's a pretty short movie. It's not that long. It's only like an hour and a half. And there's not a lot to say about it. It wasn't a great movie in terms of the acting was okay. Donald Sutherland,
I would watch it again.
Donald Sutherland, I already did. I watched it a second time this afternoon when I got home from work. Donald Sutherland is just a great actor, and he does great in everything he does, and so...
He's in for like 20 minutes. Why are you talking so much about Donnie?
But it's a crucial character, and it's a crucial storyline, and his performance in that storyline is fantastic. You know? The desperation, and the yearning, and the love, and the despondency that he shows all mixed in one with his character and what's going on with him is fantastic. So he did a great job. The other two were okay. I mean, it wasn't that bad. But, and it wasn't that it was really, the zombie stuff did nothing for me. But there was stuff about this movie that was super valuable to me, and I want to talk about that in a minute, but I want to hear what you thought about the movie. What were your thoughts? What did you like? What did you not like? What were your thoughts?
I really liked how it was a different take on a classic zombie movie, you know? It's about survival, but in the end, a bunch of people honestly would do what Aiden did.
Mm-hmm.
Barricade themselves inside and ration what they have, you know, and just not have the courage to actually go out unless they found something to outwardly motivate them, something they could see that would motivate them.
You
know?
Yeah.
So that's honestly how we all would react. We wouldn't go all Rick Grimes and or Daryl with freaking Harley and a crossbow. You know,
right.
We wouldn't do that. We're a scared people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look.
So now,
go ahead.
So I loved how it showed a realistic side of what would happen if this type of event happened. You know,
right.
And slowly we could see how the realistic side would be our own downfall because we are not a solo species. We need interaction and we need something
That's
to
the
help
point of
us
the movie, in my opinion.
We need something to help us get up in the morning, and if we don't see or hear anything like that, we literally lose our will to live.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you could see that in the scene when Aiden was about to take his own life, and he sees Eva across of the breezeway and through the window. You can just see a switch flip in his
immediately.
head.
Immediately, his whole demeanor changed.
It happened.
Yeah, it was
because
great.
Because he then had something to live for, someone to interact with, and because that is what we need.
Yeah. I think that yes, technically it was a zombie movie, but really the whole zombie thing was really the MacGuffin in the movie to kind of progress the plot along. Because to me,
they were set dressing.
To me, the plot was really about our need for human connection, right? Yes. He started out with not really valuing human connection. The movie started with him having a one-night stand, and she got up out of the bed. He was asleep or acting like he was asleep, and she got out of bed, and she had this embarrassed look on her face, like, I can't believe I did that. Snuck out of the house. He woke up, and he started calling her name out or calling out for her, and when she wasn't there, he showed a sign of relief, going, oh, good, she's gone. She's not here. So, the movie started out with him as a very shallow character, not valuing human connection at all, really. And then the zombie stuff happened, and it forced this stuff, this need, this understanding of a need for human connection, right? And relationship. And like you said, he was on the verge of killing himself, and the second he saw another human being, everything changed. Just like that, right? And it doesn't surprise me that they were kind of falling in love, because it's such a strong emotional trauma that they're going through that's going to draw them together, right? Regardless. Yeah.
It did enforce a movie cliche that I hate,
which is what?
Two people meeting and then 2 or 3 days later they're madly in love and are going to be together.
But I see this.
I understand the situation and why that happened. I just don't like the stereotype.
Yeah, yeah. I want to hit our sound effect because we ran out of time anyway. But I'm going to keep going. So anyway, so I see what you're saying, but in this situation, I don't see that as a typical trope. If you were in that situation, or if I were in that situation, and this had happened, and we had gone 42 days with zero human connection, and then all of a sudden we see a person of the opposite sex nearby, and as far as we know, we're the only two left, and there's this human trauma that we've shared, it's going to be a huge psychological draw to each other. So I don't see that as a trope. I don't disagree with that, because I understand the psychology of it. So that's what I say. But it's not just them, right? And I'm going to ruin it here. I'm sorry, I've got to. Okay, because it plays into the value of Donald Sutherland's character, because you saw the need for human connection for him as well. So. Man, I don't want. No, it's not that. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about the twist. But
then don't talk about the twist.
His storyline, from a completely different angle, shows just as strongly the need for human connection. How far we would go, and how far we'll go to maintain that human connection. Right. And as cool as it was to watch Aiden and Eva get drawn together. That storyline and what was going on right there was in some ways, though tragic, way more touching and intimate than the Aiden and Eva stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree.
Even though, this is one of those movies where the movie wasn't that great, but because of the material in the movie, and of course I'm going to gravitate towards the psychological kind of stuff and the emotional, relational kind of stuff, because that was so strong. Because that was so strong, I loved this movie, Yeah. Just because it really played out. And look, it came out in 2020. It's kind of interesting. I think
coincidentally,
I think a lot of people through this pandemic experienced some similar kind of things. Now, if you're families and
wasn't to that degree.
If you were families and you were quarantined together, if you're a couple and you're quarantined together, that's one thing. But if you're a single person and all of a sudden you're having to be quarantined and you can not have any human contact with people, it was tough. Now, granted, on a much smaller scale, because we still could do Zoom calls and FaceTime and that kind of stuff, right? No,
yeah.
The rest of humanity weren't zombies.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really cool commentary, though it may have been completely inadvertent, on kind of what our society has gone through in the past 18 months or so.
Yeah.
because I know that I've seen it in my practice. I've seen anxiety and depression shoot through the roof over the last year because of this isolation and stuff.
It's ridiculous.
It is. And so I love the movie from that point of view.
Really was a good movie.
And I picked up on all that stuff when I watched it the first time, but I was really watching it the first time to just follow the storyline. This time, when I watched it this afternoon, I got to just sit there and sit in that relationship stuff and really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it much more then because I got to just focus on that. So, look, if you've seen Alive, I haven't seen Alive, but it sounds like they're extremely similar. I thought this one was really good. If you really want to kind of see a human story inside a zombie flick, I think they pulled that off. And like I said, it's only
Warm Bodies did.
Yeah, I don't remember if I saw Warm Bodies.
Do you know the premise of Warm Bodies?
Yeah, I do. But that was almost like a teenage romance zombie flick, so that I can't imagine that was going to be very good anyway.
I mean, first off, it doesn't even make any sense. So somehow, the zombie is still alive, even though it's undead. It still has its brain.
Yeah,
I mean that
here's
literally goes against everything a zombie flick has ever told us. Its reptilian brain is then enlarged and slowly activated.
So, and here's something else that was kind of tragic in the movie, because you're watching the news. The news is on in the background. They're interviewing experts as this stuff is happening. And they commented that these people that are kind of in this screamer, zombie, whatever they are, they know what they're doing, but they can't control themselves. Can you imagine the psychological torture of eating somebody and being sickened about what you're doing and not being able to control yourself? Talk about hell. Talk about living in hell, right?
I mean, it would be essentially like you're tied up in a chair, gagged, and watching a screen through someone's eyes of some kind of POV thing, watching this happen and being unable to do anything about it. You're watching yourself eat a person or kill a person or chase after a person to kill and or eat them.
Right. Right.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, look, if you like zombie movies, it's a zombie movie. Is it really a zombie movie? I think it's more of a human nature story and more about our need for human connection, with zombies being the MacGuffin to carry you through the story. These zombies
are there as the conflict, but they're not the focus.
They're the plot device. That's all they are. They're the plot device to move you through the plot. But it's really about how much we need human connection and how important that is. So I did. I enjoyed it. Would I have ever watched this movie? No, probably not. No, not at all.
I wouldn't have either.
I mean, I love Donald Sutherland, but I wouldn't have watched it just because he was in it. But he was, even though he was only in it for a short amount of time, I loved his character, and he played it so well. And at one point, when he just is crying out in his frustration and his desperation that he's in, it was painful to watch, and I felt so sorry for him. But anyway, so it's a good movie. I would check it out. Give it a look. I think it's only an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 32 minutes, something around in there. So it's pretty short. So you won't lose a lot of time if you watch it. I need to go watch the Korean version, the hashtag Alive, and see how different it is. I mean, we've had good luck with the Korean movies that we've watched, so we should check that out. So I guess that's all we got, right? I don't have anything else to say about the movie. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. And it wasn't a gruesome movie. I mean, the makeup on the zombies, they look like zombies, but you didn't see like gruesome kills. I mean, he killed a couple of people, beat them with a baseball bat, but you didn't see it. You just saw him swinging the bat. So it wasn't that bad in that respect. So how about we roll for our next movie and get out of here, because I'm getting hot and I want to get another drink and go play Xbox. So wake up, dude. Hey. What? Oh, stop faking. All right, so we're gonna roll for our next movie. All right. So first thing we're gonna roll for which service we're using, right?
Yep.
So I rolled a 9, and so that would be Hulu, right?
Yep, Hulu.
Okay. And then we'll roll my 10-sided die to see what category we're going to do. And I rolled a 1, and that would be action. So it's an action movie. So it's an action movie on Hulu. And now I'm going to roll a 100-sided die or percentage die and see what that is. So I rolled a 36. So we're going to watch the 36th action movie on Hulu. So I'm going to pull that up. I've already got Hulu pulled up over here. I've got all the streaming services pulled up over here. I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to look. I'm going to find the 36th action movie on Hulu, and that's what we're going to review for the next time. So y'all hold tight. I'll be right back.
Sorry, guys. I really am super tired.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to watch a movie from 2016 called The Osiris Child.
The Osiris, as in the Egyptian judge of the dead.
I wouldn't know that.
Wait.
You would.
Oh, no, wait. Or is that Anubis?
I don't
know. Both of them are involved in the dead. I think Osiris is the judge, and Anubis reached the scale of the deceased.
I'm not the mythology guy. I don't know. If you don't know, I'm certainly not going to know. So anyway, let me read to you what the tagline is.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Okay. So it says, let's see. Set in a time of interplanetary colonization, Cy Lombrock, a former nurse who is now a drifter with a haunted past, forms an unlikely alliance with Kane Somerville, a lieutenant who works for off-world military contractor Exor. In a race against time, they set out to rescue Kane's young daughter, Indy, amid an impending global crisis precipitated by Exor. So it sounds pretty science fiction-y. Other planets, world-ending events, saving a daughter, unlikely duo going on this journey to do it together. So some mercenary and some...
It sounds like Space Sweepers.
No, not really, because kind of. But anyway, so that's what we're going to watch next time. I've never heard of this movie, so there you go. We're going to watch The Osiris Child and come up with some other kind of weird geek question and talk more about, probably have another update on As the Normandy Turns and see how that turns out, because I'll probably be finished with it by then. And we'll kind of see how that goes. So
Fun fact.
Chicken. Go for it.
Speaking of Anubis, do you know how he scaled the deceased?
How he what? The deceased? How he scaled? How he scaled them? What do you mean? How he scaled them?
Like a weighing scale.
Oh, weighing scale. Okay. No, how did he do that?
On one side he put the deceased's heart. On the other side, he put a feather. And scale was used to weigh the deceased's guilt. If the heart was read as heavier than the feather, Anubis would feed the hearts to some kind of creature that was 1/3 crocodile, 1/3 lion, and 1/3 hippo.
How do you know this stuff?
I know mythology.
I don't even understand how you can know that. I mean, I imagine there are like people that study mythology in college that don't even know that. What? Okay. Talk about random knowledge.
Mythology.
Talk about random knowledge. Jeez Louise. Okay.
What?
Welcome to life with Connor growing up. It was always like this. And listen, it's not just 25 years old he's doing this. He was saying these kind of things at like 10 and 11 and 12. Dad, did you know that? No.
What?
I didn't.
What? I like learning facts like this.
I know.
And for as long as I can remember, mythology has always fascinated me.
Yep.
You know, because as I've said before, it's for me it's about wanting to find out the origins of this myth and this story, because something someone saw caused them to create this story that then turned it into hard mythology. You know, so someone saw some kind of creature that had fur and a big long head, and kind of like flat hooved feet in the back. You know, so they saw something that looks like that.
A platypus.
Or
it's got fur and a long head and kind of weird looking feet with claws on it.
There is actually myth about the platypus.
I know.
There's actually myth about the platypus.
Man, we're in it with a bunch of chickens here. We're talking about platypuses and anubises,
platypi,
and feathers and hearts and stuff.
The other thing you said is
feathers and hearts and platypi. Oh my! So anyway, okay. Well, let's get out of here, man, because I think we're pretty much done. We've talked our way through all this. So thanks for coming in, guys. Thanks for coming in and hanging out and chatting with us. Appreciate it. It gives us somebody else to talk to other than me talking to this guy over here.
Hey, you love talking to me.
I do, but it's nice to have other people in here too. So if you're ever thinking about it and you listen to the podcast and you get it from Google Play or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast, if you would drop us a review, 5-star would be great, because the more ratings we get, the more people can kind of hear where we're coming from and get to know us. I'm hoping to get to meet a lot of folks in a few weeks at DragonCon, because I'm going to be there at DragonCon, and I'm going to be a panelist.
Wait, a few weeks? It's still over a month away, isn't it?
That's a few weeks, right? It's like 5 weeks, something like that. So I'm going to be pretty heavy in the digital media track, and I'm going to be a panelist on a couple of the panels during the digital media track, so that's kind of cool. And so if you happen to be at DragonCon, come to the digital media track and look for me, and I'll be there, and we can chat and get to know each other, and maybe I'll have some stickers. I mean, I'll have some stickers. I don't know if I'll have enough, but so I plan on putting chicken stickers everywhere. Oh, nice. Wait. So you can see the chicken. Where's the chicken? There's the chicken.
There's the chicken.
So anyway, so that's it. We'll be back next week for episode 60. Can you believe we're going to have episode 60 next week? And we're gonna talk about
just wait until we get to episode 69.
Oh wow, that's just be good, be nice. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So let's end there. Let's not go any further. We're done. So y'all have a good night. And we'll be back next week, same time, 8:00. In about 30 or 40 minutes, I'll be back on this channel, streaming with some buddies of mine, playing whatever we're going to play tonight. I don't know if we're playing Destiny or Overwatch or golf, or I don't know what we're doing tonight, but we're going to do something. So come back and hang out, a bunch of old guys playing games. So y'all have a good night. Have a great week. And we'll see you guys next week. And always remember,
stay nerdy, my friends, and also brains in the background.
Oh, to the people that's listening to the podcast, I have no idea what you're talking about. But if you're watching the stream, I have a big brains sign in the background because we watch something. Anyway. Bye, guys. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all later.
Deuces.
You're still here? It's over. Go home.